Hey guys, Nick from ArchCityPLO.com and Arch City Poker. Today's how to beat low stakes poker topic is going to be offsuit Broadway. So hands like Queen Jack offsuit, Ace Jack offsuit, King Queen offsuit. These are hands that I believe a lot of players play way too often in almost every spot. It puts them in a position to fail post flop when they are up against ranges that are dominating their actual hand. So I'm going to cover this topic in a very general and brief manner. When you are in a nine-handed game, you have to be very careful about opening with offsuit Broadways. Generally, if you are in the first three positions in a nine-handed game, I would say the worst offsuit Broadways you want to open the pot with for a raise, never limping with these, planning to limp call. You're going to want to open for a raise with Ace-Jack offsuit. I think some King-Queen offsuit is okay as long as the table isn't overly aggressive or competent. But those are the only offsuit Broadways that you're going to open in those first three spots. Now, once those first three spots fold and it becomes now essentially a six-handed game, or let's say you're playing online and you're playing a six-handed game, you can open Ace-10 offsuit. You can expand to King-Jack offsuit. But that's really about it until you get, again, to the cutoff and the button, and then you add a few more combos as you go along. So I know a lot of players, I see them under the gun in nine-handed games opening Ace-10 offsuit. Some really aggressive players will open like Ace-9 offsuit, King-10 offsuit, Queen-Jack offsuit. That's going to be too wide. Those combos are not going to perform well against reasonable cold calling ranges. They're not going to perform well in multi-way pots. That's going to be one of the main situations that you guys end up in low stakes poker. There's just so many multi-way pots. There's a running joke for years within the poker community that live low stakes games are essentially just also known as showdown poker, meaning you just need to have the best hand at showdown. It's going to be pretty tough to bluff opponents. They're going to overvalue certain hands, but offsuit Broadways aren't going to perform very well in those types of pots, and especially when you're playing deeper, offsuit Broadways perform a lot better in lower SPR situations, but when there's a lot of money left behind, they are going to have trouble playing against any form of aggression or any reasonable opponent, especially when you're out of position. Now, let's take the next step forward. Let's say you face a raise and you're in position. Generally, you are folding most of your offsuit Broadways. Ace-King offsuit can be mostly 3-bet. I think you can call with that sometimes as well. If you are in early position, let's say you're under the gun +1 in a nine-handed game, and the player under the gun is very reasonable, you think he's competent, has a pretty tight range like he should in that spot, and he opens, Ace-Queen offsuit, in my opinion, should actually be folded, and that seems really nitty, but that combo is just not going to perform well against a reasonable under-the-gun range in a nine-handed game. Now, in a six-handed game, Ace-Queen offsuit can be a nice hand to cold call with. If rake is a little bit more of a factor, if rake is higher, which it often is in low-stakes games, then you're going to want to probably 3-bet a little bit more often and make sure that you combat rake as much as you can by getting more money into the pot pre-flop. Now, of course, that is, first of all, dependent on your opponent's opening range. If it's a really nitty opponent, then you probably want to lean more towards folding. Folding to obvious signs of really transparent strength, so to speak, is one of the bread and butter plays that you'll make in low stakes poker games. But as you move further along in position and as your opponent moves further along in position as well, so let's say your opponent is in the cutoff, you're on the button, then you can start to 3-bet almost essentially semi-bluff with hands like King-Queen offsuit some of the time, Ace-Jack offsuit. You'll still want to fold those some of the time because they still are not hands that are going to perform very well in that spot, but because of what they block, they are going to perform pretty well as 3-bet bluffs. You're blocking a lot of hands at the top of your opponent's ranges. So the last spot, I believe, is if you are out of position and you face a late position open, you can 3-bet those offsuit Broadway hands, like I said, some Ace-Jack offsuit, King-Queen offsuit, maybe some Ace-10 offsuit, depending on how loose your opponent is. But generally, you are still going to want to fold in most situations your offsuit Broadways, especially your weaker ones. Ace-King offsuit and Ace-Queen offsuit are a little stronger. Like I said, there's still some situations where you fold Ace-Queen offsuit. But otherwise, King-Jack offsuit, queen jack offsuit. Those are two very specific combos that I see players just playing way too often, especially from out of position. They're going to put you in a really awkward spot a lot of times post-flop. So hopefully this video helps clear up the misconception that all Broadway hands should be treated similarly. When they are suited, it's a little different. They're definitely stronger, especially those big aces. But otherwise, the offsuit Broadways, you probably want to steer clear of them most of the time, especially if you think it's close and you're in doubt. I would just lean towards folding it and moving on to the next hand. So if you have any questions or comments about this topic, of course, go ahead and let me know. Click on the link for archcityplo.com. Come check out the site, learn how you can improve immediately on a daily basis as a PLO and or no limit hold'em player. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.